everybody. I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today we're going to talk about Generation X bucking the system and why our generation is special in that respect. So, to go back a couple more generations, remember the younger kids? We've seen them in movies and stuff from the 50s, the James Dean era, where they had the hot rods and that kind of stuff. And those were the rebels, right? Rebel without a cause and all that. And they bucked the system in their youth. But then they conformed and got into government and all that and became consumers. And the same thing happened with the baby boomers. They bucked the system. They were hippies. And they bucked in their youth, and then they got into government and all that stuff in their older age and got into lockstep. And then came Gen X, and we bucked the system. We were about, conserving the environment, protecting the environment, anti-government, just that kind of stuff, rock and roll music, all these types of things. And if you hear me list these off, you'll notice that we're still about those things. Only the world around us has really changed. When I was a kid, late teens, early 20s, the environment was the biggest hot topic. There were people camping out in trees, trying to protect trees and stuff, and making big news. And everyone was aware about what was going on in the Amazon rainforest, cutting down acres of this beautiful ancient forest and all this. It was the hot topic was the environment. And I still care about the environment. I still want that stuff to stop. But nowadays, that's not even talked about anymore. They actually have TV shows, some kind of gold, whatever, but where they take fire hoses and just blast away entire ecosystems up there in, I think it's Alaska, looking for gold. And it's popular now. It's okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Literally just blasting away. Then nobody cares anymore. We've got a Great Pacific Garbage Patch like the size of Texas in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. I mean, you see a couple of shots of people rescuing turtles caught in a net or something once in a while. That's great. Those people are so awesome. But instead of these billionaires taking action toward, protecting our environment, they just don't give a shit anymore. They're worried about. So Gen X hasn't really changed. We really haven't changed our ideals, the things we care about. And it's the world too has changed. The world quit giving a shit about those things that were so important back in the day. And in my opinion, they're still important. To talk about the billionaires could do things, just the three richest people in America, they could do so much, but they just don't. A couple of broke-ass Australian surfers came up with this little system thing that you put in the ocean and it collects garbage. Those are the kind of people that are helping the earth, helping the environment, trying to protect our planet, actually really doing something. Not trying to stop cows from farting, because there's no debate about that. Garbage in the ocean is bad. Cows farting might be bad, maybe. I mean, you have to ignore the fact that there were like 60 million buffalo on the Great Plains before we got here. And I just have to assume that the buffaloes had gas too. So, but that's beside the point. And if you move on to the younger generations, they're coming up with the system. They're already with the system. They're not going through this phase where they rebel, this rebellious phase, and they're rebelling against everything. They're coming up right with the system. And it's the rebels who they are rebelling against. So that's a weird shift to me in culture, and maybe I'm biased. Probably I am. But I see it as I just plain out see it as Gen X being right. We're correct. We're correct not to abandon the things that matter, not to stop caring about the things that actually need to be cared about. Our planet. And there are things that we can actually do that will actually make a difference right now. Stop blasting away the earth for gold. Stop chopping down old growth forests for lumber. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. Yes, I understand that the corporations wouldn't make 10% increased profits next year. They might only make 5% increased profits. And that would be horrible if these billion-dollar corporations only increased their profits by 5% when they could have increased it by 10. But let's just say that the world would continue to spin if that did happen, right? There are a lot of other ways that we could do things. There are so many empty, abandoned, dilapidated houses and buildings, and those construction materials could be reused to build new homes, to build new buildings. We don't have to keep going out and devastating forests and throwing perfectly good materials into landfills. That's just one example. Everybody, I know we all feel sorry for the corporations, and we understand their need for their profits. So it's hard to get on board with that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying it is possible. That kind of stuff is possible. We just don't do it. And even if I come up with 10 bad examples, there are thousands of good examples. There are thousands of good things we could do, not just a couple of bad ideas that some handyman could come up with. So Generation X never let go of what we knew was right, like the generations before us. They just let go of that stuff. The baby boomers, as a generation, actually went from the most anti-war, speaking out against war generation in the world to be the most pro-war generation to ever exist since like the Roman Republic or something, or the Huns, you know what I mean? It's crazy. They've gone completely to the other side of the spectrum. It's just crazy to watch, to see, to look back and look at the hippies and the free peace and the all caring and love and everything, to now drones, send the drones, drop the bombs. Let's get it. Send some more of our kids over there. It's insane. But Generation X, we didn't change like that. We didn't completely abandon everything that we cared about in our youth. We've stayed young, at least in our hearts and minds, and we haven't completely bought into all of the government's rhetoric, all of the social pressures, all of the media lies. We haven't bought into all that shit as a generation. Some of us have. I get it. I know we have. But I don't think the majority of us. I think the vast majority of us still cling on to what we know was right. And it's still right today. Nothing's changed. Everything around us has changed, but the basic values, the basic things that we needed back then are still the basic things we need today. A clean planet, a good economy, less war, less racial division, less division of all kinds. But since back then we were bucking against those things have literally gotten more prevalent because of all the other generations around us. We were the only ones who have stood firm against that tide of war, against that tide of pollution and environmental destruction and just everything, racial division, all that stuff. We are the only ones who have stood against it our entire lives. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this program, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I sincerely appreciate those of you who do that. Thank you very much. We also have some Gen X gear over at Redbubble if you're interested. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. Pretty cool stuff. T-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of stuff. I'll put that link down in the description as well in case you're interested. And if you'd like to become a member of Gen X Thinks and view the extra content that I make for the members and get special emojis and other cool stuff, I'll leave that link down in the description too. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos in your social media. That helps out a lot. Thank you very much for those of you who do that. I really appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can email us, and the email's over on the channel page. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.